Good evening and happy Occupational Therapy Month. It's my pleasure to congratulate you all on the wonderful work that you're doing this spring on your adaptive projects. I had the pleasure of joining the first year occupational therapy student class last year in person for this event, and I was just blown away by the projects that they had done. And I understand that this year's class has proven to be every bit as creative and innovative in designing projects that have the potential to really make a difference in people's lives. And I'm very, very proud of all of you. While I wish we could all be together in person to celebrate your work, I'm glad we can share your projects with your classmates and our amazing OT faculty and Dean Pardue in this format. I admire the way that all of you have persevered through the unprecedented disruption in our lives that this semester has brought. Dean Pardue and all of our faculty tell me about your adaptability and ingenuity. These are characteristics that all OTs seem to possess in abundance, and they've been on full display during this challenging time. Thanks to these qualities and to your resilience, you've managed to complete your projects from varying states of quarantine, while the normal supplies and resources and opportunities to readily engage with the outside world have been limited. This is not an experience I would have wished on you or on any of us, but I have no doubt it has forced you to grow and innovate in ways that will serve you well in your future career. And I can't emphasize enough how vital the career is that you have chosen. I myself have seen firsthand the incredible impact that gifted occupational therapists can make in the lives of a client. As some of you may know, my oldest son, Aaron, is autistic, and he has been working with OTs since about the age of 6. He's now 31, and OTs have made a huge difference in his life. And so I have first-hand experience with the impact that you all have and with your work. The current pandemic has only highlighted how important occupational therapy is and will continue to be in our world. Over the past few months, the whole profession has adapted in real time. And that's whether we're talking about OTs working on the front lines, providing patient care in inpatient settings, or in the virtual world, embracing telehealth. In both cases, OTs are finding ways to help clients engage in the activities that are most meaningful to them, no matter the obstacles. So thank you all for dedicating your lives to this most noble calling, and congratulations again on completing such fine projects. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gabrielle Tomasic.
And I'm Jana Montgomery.
And for our adaptive project, we decided to create
adaptive light boxes.
So we specifically wanted to do light boxes because we were inspired by SPURWINK, and when we heard that they have this new sensory space for their kids for sensory regulation, we thought this would be a really cool tool and activity that they can use in their room.
Yeah. So SPURWINK is a behavioral health facility that caters to children, adults, and families. Specifically, these adaptive light boxes are for their sensory regulation and co-regulation for their emotions.
Yeah. And being able to regulate emotions is very important because the inability to regulate your emotions may cause a disruption in your daily activities of everyday participation in life. So that could include for kids, playing, learning, socializing, etc.
So these custom light boxes were created for all of the individual's needs. One, this is a heavy light box, and then we have a lightweight box as well, because we wanted to cater to all the individuals who are participating in the sensory space, along with the employees, so that everyone did feel safe utilizing these.
Yeah. Another really cool feature about the light boxes is that they're portable. So not only can they use them in their new sensory space, but they can also use it in classrooms, in the hallways, basically anywhere that has an outlet. So that was really cool. And for sensory regulation purposes specifically, some materials that we included and made sure to have in it was the sand, rice, the beans, coloring books and pencils and markers just so that the kids can calm down, and we make sure to have different lights so they can customize to their liking.
Yeah. Another item that we included with the materials would be educational items. We have ABC cups. We have like the tracing, or you can even use shading cream to put on top and write letters and stuff. These would be more honed in on fine motor skills.
So at Spurwink, the students range between 5 to 21 years old, so we really wanted to make sure that we incorporated materials and toys for all ages.
Yeah, so these light boxes just help increase participation, help self-regulate emotions, and is an overall fun activity.
Thank you for watching.
Hi everybody, my name is Ashley Jepson, and for my adaptive project I made a no-mess rice sensory bin. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to my level 1 fieldwork experience, so I don't know where my project is going to be going. But what I tried to do was make it a project that could be easily adapted for many households during this time. My inspiration for this project has been the few times that I've been able to see children engage with rice bins or different sensory tables. While they're great for tactile perception and different sensory integration experiences, these tables oftentimes cause a huge mess, which is frustrating for caregivers and other professionals. So I wanted to find a way to allow children to get the same sort of sensory experience while not creating a giant mess. So this is my no mess sensory bin. I took a large Tupperware and made a big hole in the top, and I put a nylon stocking through the hole to seal the bin. Inside the bin, I placed some colored rice and 12 different items that I found throughout my house. The card on the outside is what the child would use to see the items that they are trying to find on the inside of the bin. So what they would do was put their hand through, they'd dig through the rice to find one of the items. See, right here, I was able to find the number 5, and the goal would be for them to be able to find all the items on the list. While I was unable to find every single thing I wanted to create this project, my goal was to create a fun sensory experience for children that could be easily made with at-home materials and not create a huge mess.
Hi, my name is Bethany, and I designed Explore With Me, a portable dog-themed sensory board. I designed this board for a child in my community who has autism. She tends to be both sensory-seeking and sensory-defensive. She lives with her parents, her older brother, and their 2 dogs. This child loves playing with their dogs, but she tends to play a little bit too rough for the dogs. Her parents and her occupational therapists are working together to find new ways to incorporate her in taking care of the dogs. Additionally, they have goals regarding independent dressing and using the bathroom at school. A key component in designing this board was its ability to go with the child out into the community. That's why there's not a lot of auditory stimulation, which can be more disruptive in the community setting. There's a lot of safety considerations taken into the creation of this board. For example, the strap in that last picture is completely removable, although it is a leash, just like her dogs use to practice that clasp. Additionally, everything is completely nailed down. And then a lot of this involved materials that were already being used by her family. So I went and purchased the exact same brush that she has been using to learn to pet the dogs gently so she can practice petting the board gently. Additionally, the shoelace on the back is made from materials that she's already working with. And this is a piece of carpet left over from when her parents redid the room, her bedroom. This is the exact same collar that her dogs use. And so, yes, they're very little dogs. So that's available for her to practice with. There's also a different type of collar, which isn't exactly what she's used to, but to practice belt buckles. And then, of course, the pencil grips that she loved having the opportunity to cut up. The other thing is on the back of the ears, there's buttons and zippers, and because these are so floppy, she really has to use 2 hands to stabilize them. And then finally, some latches and things to practice fine motor skills in the bathroom. I'd also like to draw your attention to this light box. It was too bright on its own, but so we covered it in stickers, and the cool thing that we did is the first layer of stickers is actually these little tiny dog bone stickers, and then they're covered in actual dogs. And so when you illuminate it, and it's hard to see virtually, but you can then play I Spy and find the smaller dog bones hidden in this collage. There is also a stand to help position the board at different heights to grade the activities. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I'm happy to answer questions, and a special thank you to Em and her family for letting me design this for them.
Hi, my name is Rachel McKinney.
And my name is Abby Higgins, and we are occupational therapy students. For our adaptive project, we created 2 social stories. So social stories are typically created to prepare children for new situations by detailing social expectations, feelings, and sensory experiences that may be encountered. Social stories were originally developed to prepare children with autism spectrum disorder for social situations. However, you now frequently see them utilized to prepare children of all abilities for challenging or novel situations.
Our first social story was created for UNE's transdisciplinary playgroup. This is an inclusive group facilitated by UNE students for children ages 18 to 36 months who are typically developing, at risk, or who have autism spectrum disorder. This year, many of the children in playgroup struggled with transitioning between activities. So Abby and I developed a social story to help with these transitions. We collaborated with speech therapist Lori Mack and occupational therapist Dr. Catherine Lucas to ensure the social story used developmentally appropriate language. We included pictures of the children engaging in playgroup activities as well. Abby and I gifted these social stories to the children's parents and explained how they could be used at home.
And then after Rachel and I completed our level 1 pediatric fieldwork, we decided to create a second social story specifically for the children at the facilities. These children had varying diagnoses and a range of sensory needs and sensitivities. As many of us can maybe remember, losing a tooth is a very intense sensory experience. So because of the children's sensory sensitivities, many of them found losing a tooth traumatic, challenging, or uncomfortable. So our Wiggly Tooth social story explained the sensations they might experience, and then in turn, the emotions that these sensations might elicit. So when we created this social story, we utilized the knowledge gained from our previous social story to ensure we included, again, age-appropriate language and photos.
So the beauty of social stories is that they can be created and utilized by professionals as well as parents and caregivers. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
My name is Madison Kirchner, and my project is a sensory bin known as Space Escape. What inspired my project was individuals who are primarily male aged 9 to 18 years old with diagnoses including mental health challenges, autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disability, and ADHD. The goal of this project was to create a sensory bin that can be utilized by these clients and offer them calming effects. My project is destined to go to Spurwink Chelsea Day Treatment Center. The sensory bin consists of kinetic sand that does not dry out, and it's easy to mold. I chose the kinetic sand because it offers some proprioception. It's harder to force your fingers into the sand, and again, it's also easy to mold and squeeze the kinetic sand. In addition, I've added some games that can go along with the kinetic stand by hiding these objects. It can be graded up and down based on fine motor abilities, so you can use bigger objects or smaller, harder to see objects and hide them in the sand and have the client find them. My hope is that this bin offers a great addition to Spurwink's sensory room and allows the clients to be able to engage and play in the sensory bin and have it be calming.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa Smith and the title of my project is called Shoe Tying 101. For this project, I was inspired by one of the school-based occupational therapists at Buxton Elementary, Christina Cook. Buxton Elementary was the original site where I was set to complete my fieldwork this semester, but unfortunately was not able to due to the coronavirus situation. Fortunately, however, I was able to reach out to Christina and ask her about a project I could create for her that would be useful for the children there. She asked if I was able to make something related to shoe tying, so I decided to create an interactive board with visual instructions and 2 pairs of shoes that can be used to practice on. I wanted to make the project adaptable in several ways, so I decided to attach the shoes to the board with Velcro so that the shoes could be easily taken on and off of the board. This way, shoes can be utilized on the board, on the floor, on a table, or other flat surface. Also, the visual instructions that I created are based off of a YouTube video that Christina often shows to the children who need it. I created this project on a trifold board so that it could easily stand and be presented on its own and then later folded up and put away. I hope you enjoyed this quick presentation of my project, and I look forward to being able to give it to Buxton Elementary to be used very soon.
Hi, my name is Taylor Gallant.
And I'm Alexis Giordano.
And we are students at the University of New England. The project we created is titled I Spy with My Little Eye, which is an I Spy board created for children with varying abilities. Our inspiration came from Spurwink, an organization that provides behavioral and developmental services for children and adults. One of the OTs there expressed the desire to have one of these boards targeting the fine motor and perceptual challenges of the children they serve. The population we focused on specifically are children 8 to 12 with diagnoses ranging from autism, ADHD, and mental health challenges.
We created a board that is broken up into different color sections along with a set of cards that correspond to the game pieces. This color scheme allows the child to categorize colors and scan the board for a game piece of a particular color to find it easier. Within each section are pieces of varying sizes and shapes and include fun images like animals, cars, and daily objects. To meet the just right need for each child, we created a list of varying ways the OT can increase the demand of the child. The cards we have can be used with either the picture side or the word side. The picture side is meant to help give the child visual cues so they can picture what they're searching for. The word side is a little more challenging in that it prompts the child to create an association between the word and the object itself.
To incorporate fine motor skills, we glued some of the pieces on the board while others are attached with Velcro. The Velcro pieces allow the child to remove the game piece and play around with it in their hands. Grabbing the piece off the board works on fine motor skills and grasp patterns, and feeling the different properties of objects allows them to explore different sensory input.
Another way to target fine motor skills is by asking the child to draw the object after they find it. They can also use the object in a sentence to work on handwriting skills, cognition, and speech.
Our hope is that this board will be used with children of varying abilities in a variety of ways to help promote success in their current and future occupations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Megan Bowler, and for my adaptive project, I created a mini glow-in-the-dark sensory tent. My inspiration came from when I was volunteering at an event over the summertime, and I was volunteering in a much larger sensory tent, but it had the same environmental feel as it was dark and dim, It had a disco ball, some glow sticks, and a couple of areas for the kiddos to sit. And I noticed that the kiddos that were coming in were really coming in to calm down, cool down, and to regulate themselves before they went back out into the field to play. In specific, my project is dedicated to a family friend. Their son gets very anxious when a lot of company is coming over, but in the summertime they really love to have outdoor fires, to be outside on their back patio with family and friends. So I really wanted to create a space where he could be outside with his family, with their friends, at nighttime and during the day, but to kind of have his own space to be in, to feel safe and secure. There's a lot of different ways that you can make a sensory tent, and I chose to make mine by using a blackout curtain, which is what you'll notice around the sides, and they already have the rings on them. And then I strung that onto a hula hoop. So I snipped one end of the hula hoop, put the blackout curtain around it, duct taped it back together, and then I used the rope. So I chose to tie the rope with the 4 different sides because it created a lot more stability for the heavy siding that I had on it. And then it also has the extra rope where you're able to tie it. The families can tie it to a tree, they can tie it to anything outside or inside, whichever they prefer. And along with this is that you'll notice at the top, and you'll be able to see it at the end of the video a lot better, there is some lighting. So what I was able to do is then take some wire lighting, just in like a little pack. I was then able to string it through, like so. So kind of creating a nice and light and bright space. So having the 4 allows you to really intertwine the lights throughout. But I really wanted to make it comfortable for him to be in at nighttime. At the top, you can cover it with like another blanket, or you can leave it open, and it might be really nice to just have open to stargaze at night. At the base is just a couple of pillows, and I know that the family will add in some other objects that really make him feel comfortable, safe, and so that he is able to easily access it and really utilize it as a source to be outside with the family. Thank you for listening to my project, and the next clip will just show you what it will look like at night.
Hello, my name is Courtney Jacob, and the project that I'm presenting to you today is called Pocket Fidgets. And the inspiration for me is from my week-long fieldwork at Portland Public Schools, where I saw lots of students who were utilizing fidget tools in the classroom to help with self-regulation, attention, and focus. And in most cases, these were small toys and items that the OT had purchased. And in several cases, they weren't really all that well made. And there's also, of course, the cost of always having to replace your supplies. So I was trying to think through how an OT could give students the experience of utilizing fidget tools, but also maybe an opportunity to explore involving the student in the creation of one and looking at some more low-cost options using low-cost materials. So I basically looked around at different resources, existing resources, and created a booklet that presents 4 specific fidget tool options, all made from very low cost materials, things that OT may already have around, and pretty simple to make, so a student could also be involved in the process. So I'll go ahead and show you what the booklet looks like. Okay, so as you can see, it's entitled Pocket Fidgets, Tools, Not Toys That You and Your Students Can Make. And if you scroll through, again, there's 4 options. So you'll see the name of the tool, materials listed, and specific steps along with photos of how to make them. I've also included links to video tutorials where you could actually watch someone else make it step by step, just to really break down the process and make it easy. Again, these are fun. They're things that a student could certainly help with. And something a student would enjoy making. So I went ahead and also made a few of my own. These are the tools from the list in person. And this is the endless loop. It's kind of straightforward and fun, but nice tactile experience. And this is made out of 2 keychains. It's just a loop that basically you can just move around in your hands really nicely. This is the infinity cube that I made, so a student could put that in a variety of different positions. And then I also made a fidget spinner. So again, really low cost and easy to make, and involves the student, which of course makes it more meaningful. So I hope you have found this information helpful, and thank you so much for watching.
Hi everyone, my name is Marsha. And I'm Victoria Fabula. And we're occupational therapy students from the University of New England, and for our Expo project we decided to work on an activity board for our client.
Our client is currently working on an increase in tactile and sensory play, so we tailored all of our items on our activity board to a few of the things that we think she may like or she may be interested in. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we were unable to get a lot of the materials that we had originally intended for our activity board. Most importantly, we weren't unable to get the Velcro tape that allows this activity board to be flexible, where you can remove items and place them back, or you can use them in any, to allow you to use them in any environment.
So, how does the activity board work? So it can either be just a general activity board where the client's able to explore the different toys, or it can be in a game. So we decided to make 3 different lands. This is Art Land, this is Dino Land, and this is Explore and Touch Land. So how the game works is, this is Sensory Sam Octopus, and then we're gonna use a spinning top to just spin, and we land it on 2. If you wanted to break down the activity, you can also use a dice. So we landed on 2, so Sam will move to 2 spots, and we're in Artland. So in Artland, the client is able to color in the flower, use this little drawing pad to draw, or touch the rice and the beans for sensory. And then in Dino Land, you can also use the texture, touch the texture of the little eggs, the darts, and then we're at Touch and Exploration Land, which is basically gives the clients the ability to explore different textures, such as the flower, the ribbons, the wheel, the Legos, which are modified. You can remove them and put them back together. The light and not really towards sensory and tactile play. This can also be used for individuals who do have fine motor skill, who's working on fine motor skills as well. Thank you so much, and I hope you're all staying safe.
Thank you.
This is Miss M. Miss M is a teacher at Zucker Middle School in North Charleston, South Carolina. Miss M teaches in a special education classroom. There are 10 students whose primary diagnosis is intellectual disability, ranging from mild to profound. Miss M and her students love to play UNO, and some of her students have challenges holding their cards. So this is my inspiration behind this project, to make adaptive playing card holders. So my first one, I make can-do card holders, or CD card holders. They are made out of 2 CDs glued together, and you're able to still fan out your cards and see them all, and use more of a pincer grasp, but also have your fingers in the back for extra support, or your other hand. And if that grasp pattern is a little bit too difficult, I made another one, the same idea with the 2 CDs that fan out your cards, but then on the bottom you can hold with more of a cylindrical grasp. The next card holders that I made were out of paper plates, or Go Dish. There are 2 different ways you can hold it. The first would be with the lip of the plate at the bottom. It gives it an easier way to grab the plate, and then your cards are still fanned out at the top. And the second way is to have the lip of the plate at the top. It gives your cards a resting point so they don't flop backwards, and then it's a whole different way to hold at the bottom. Another personal favorite is with the pool noodle. You can fan your cards out that way. You can kind of hold it in a pinch, or you can put your thumbs through the hole and it makes it a more comfortable position to hold the cards. And the last thing that I have is if grabbing or holding the cards is a little bit too challenging, this is kind of like a stand. There's card slots in here, so you just place your cards in. You can still view your cards in a field view, and that way you can just rest the whole thing onto the table. So the last thing that I made was a set of cards for a student with a visual impairment. Each card in the deck is a large print card, and then I made tactile punches through each of them. So at the top of each card, if you're able to read Braille, it'll read the number value that the card is, and then the first letter of the suit that it is. So this card says 1H, so you know it's the Ace of Hearts. And then at the bottom, it'll just have the numerical value, so it has 1 hole at the bottom, so you know it's an ace. Another example is the 10 of diamonds. Again, this says 10D at the top, so you know it's the 10 of diamonds. And on the back, it'll go up to 5 punches on one side and 5 punches up the other side. So you just trace your finger along the back of the card to count how many dots there are, and you're able to feel the numerical value of the card.
Hi everybody, my name is Alina.
And I'm Olivia. We decided to create a Geo Board to target a number of motor and sensory areas in children with varying levels of function and cognitive skills.
A Geo Board is a manipulative tool that is used with elastic loops to create any number of shapes or designs. We developed this tool to be utilized in a school-based setting or outpatient clinic due to its versatility across pediatric skill development areas. The board was created with easily accessible items and can also be easily manipulated to provide the most beneficial experience for each child using it. For example, the screws can be removed and relocated if necessary.
A Geo Board can be used to target skills such as visual perception, spatial awareness, fine motor, hand-eye coordination, color and visual discrimination, and motor planning. Geo Board activities can be easily graded up or down to be tailored to a child's unique skill level and needs, making it the perfect tool for pediatric occupational therapists.
For our project, we developed task cards that depict a variety of shapes and objects that children can replicate using elastic loops on the Geo Board. For example, a square, a triangle, or a pumpkin.
To grade this activity up, we have some task cards that provide a prompt only, without a visual aid. This challenges a child's motor planning and abstract thinking skills. To grade down, the therapist may engage the child in free play with the colorful elastic loops and the Geo Board. They may create their own designs, allowing them to practice fine motor skills in a less structured way.
Additionally, the Geo Board can be utilized as a social story platform for therapists looking to address a broader range of skills, including activities of daily living and social participation. Here's an example social story about selecting appropriate clothing for varying weather conditions.
This is Polly the pig. Say hi to Polly. Polly lives on the farm with her friend Wallace, the white cat. Polly loves the farm. She has a comfy bedroom and a big red barn. Every morning, Polly looks outside to check the weather before she can play outdoors. If it's raining, Polly has to put on her blue rain boots and carry her orange umbrella. If it's snowing, Polly puts on her green hat and purple scarf to stay warm. If it's sunny, Polly puts on her white hat and sunblock. Polly loves playing outside all year round.
Once the COVID-19 situation has passed, we plan on reaching out to pediatric OTs in the greater Portland area. I had planned on doing my level 1 fieldwork with the Gorham School District, so we are considering donating the Geo Board to their OT program. Thank you for listening and have a lovely afternoon.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Cousset, and for my adaptive project, I did a weighted lap blanket. So I reached out to Spurwick Chelsea Day Treatment after they provided a list of equipment they needed for their center. And the population that they work with consists of a lot of children with autism spectrum disorder. And many children with ASD also experience a sensory processing disorder. So I have experience working with children with ASD and have personally seen the positive effects that resulted from having something that provided that proprioceptive input for children who were sensory seeking. And so that really inspired me to tackle this project. So my weighted lap blanket is going to go to Spurwink, and it will be used in their sensory room to help children self-regulate. And so I'll demonstrate it for you. It's pretty simple. So they asked for a 10, 15, or 20 pound lap blanket. So this one is 10 pounds. And for the weight, I ended up using little decorative pebbles from a craft supply store. You can really use a bunch of different material for the weight. You can use rice, you can use glass beads, really just whatever works for you. And then I secured it in a grid-like fashion. The cover is removable. And so I'll just see how I can show you. So they're just secured in little grids. And this is so that the rocks don't really move around, which helps you have even weight distribution. And another benefit to doing it in a grid is that it allows you to fold the blanket. So if you can hold it on your lap and cover a little less surface area, and then you can just unfold it and have it cover your entire lap. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Hey y'all, my name is Jeff Rather, coming to you live from my home in Paradise, Texas. For my adaptive project, I decided to do an I Spy board, ocean themed. I really wanted the community to be able to use my project, so I decided to go onto the community wish list on our Blackboard and chose the I Spy board. It is going to be going to Galant Therapy Services, so hopefully they enjoy this. So as you can see, my project has a lot of like fish, turtles, sharks, and I try to integrate as many like different textures as possible, but you know, during this chaotic time, resources were limited. So here's a list of the things that you would want to I Spy on the board, and I called it I Spy with my ocean eye to go with the theme. To adapt, there's going to be cue cards with this I Spy board, and also you can like cover your eye to make it harder. You can cover one side to make it less of a, just to see one side of it. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in and hope y'all are staying safe and healthy during this time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Bossy.
And I'm Lisa Seelbach.
And for our adaptive project, we chose to build a board game designed for a 5-year-old boy in the community with a diagnosis of ADHD and sensory processing disorder. He has challenges with emotional regulation and will often display unsafe behaviors in a variety of settings like school, at home, or out in the community. This has affected his occupational life because it has created challenges building meaningful social relationships with his peers and a variety of challenges for his parents. Board games are a major motivator for this child, and through collaboration with his parents, we created a game that is aimed at teaching him safe, positive solutions unique to him for a variety of emotions and settings.
So the board game looks like this, and it's based off the game of Chutes and Ladders. So he'll roll a dice, and when he lands on a ladder stop, he'll have to stop and pick from a pile of face-down cards that have the emotion and the setting. He'll then have to choose from the solution cards that will be laid out in front of him, and when he picks an appropriate response, he'll get to go up the ladder and advance in the game.
So as Lisa said, there are cards for him to pick from. So he has really learned about these zones of regulation in his preschool. So our choices for emotions, which are hungry, silly, sad, tired, and mad kind of stemmed from the zones of regulation, but they don't directly correlate. And so the different settings that are on the back of the card include the playground with other kids from school, just out with mom and dad, at home, at school, in the car, and at the grocery store. And then there are a bunch of solution cards. And so here, I'll just go over a few. So this one is at the grocery store. Maybe he could help mom carry some groceries. This one is jumping jacks, if he's feeling silly. This one is a picture of a chair that says take a break if he needs some alone time. And he has this trampoline in his gross motor room at his house. So this is unique to him because he has the object. And that could be used at home for a variety of different emotions.
So this game can be graded up or graded down in a few ways. You could limit the number of solution cards that are in front of him. More cards would be grading it up, and less cards in front of him would be grading it down. It could also be graded down by providing verbal or visual cues, such as pointing to a proper solution card. And then one way to grade it up would be by asking him to pick more than one solution for a given scenario.
And as I said, there were a bunch of solution cards, so I just want to show that we have more than just those 4. These are all of the solution cards, and then these are all of the scenario and emotion cards.
And that's all we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Horgan, and for my project I created a social thinking Jeopardy game for some of the kids at Spring Harbor Hospital. My project was specifically requested by an OT at the hospital, and basically what she was looking for was a fun, interactive way for the kids that she works with to practice some social thinking strategies. So the population that she primarily sees is kids with autism in the age range of about 6 through 15, and she said that they tend to struggle with social cues, both verbal and physical, some social norms that they might experience, and as well as expected and unexpected behaviors in those social situations. So I developed the game by creating questions in all of these categories that they can play. All the kids at the hospital have iPads that they get to work with, so it's a little bit virtual but easy to manage, and I hope it works well for them. So now I'll show a quick example of this setup and one of the questions. So this is what the game looks like. As you can see, there are these different categories that were kind of selected based on where the kids spend a lot of time or the different environments that they encounter. So to just go through one quick sample question, we'll go to lunch and recess for 100. Click on it, pulls up the question. You ask some of your classmates if you can join their basketball game at recess. One of them says, "Our teams are even right now." What do they mean, and how do you respond? So for a child with autism that might have some trouble with social thinking, because this isn't a straightforward answer, they might have absolutely no idea what that response means. So the teams can give their answers, and then we click on it to see what the answer is. What they mean is that they don't want another player at that moment. And then it also lists some different ways to respond. So they could find another person to try to keep the teams even, they could wait until the start of the next game, or they could just find another activity to do. So then we escape from that. We can see that now this question has been taken, it's blocked out, and then whichever team got it right, just hit the plus button and it gives them the 100 points for that question. So that's how the game works, and I'm really looking forward to see how it works for them. And thank you all for listening to this presentation.
My name is Emily Spencer, and my project is the Tactile texture board. I was inspired by my fieldwork at Galant Therapy Services, where I met a client who was experiencing tactile defensiveness, specifically with her clothing and different textures like denim. I wanted to allow the client to explore different textures and tactile sensations related to dressing, but in a play-based form. My creation allows the child to feel fabrics including velvet, denim, corduroy, wool, and others with her hands or even her bare feet. The fabric panels are detachable using Velcro, so they can be felt, rearranged, or even turned into a walking path. I made my fabric panels with empty picture frames so the fabric could be felt from both sides. I chose a pegboard for durability and easy installation. I look forward to delivering my project so it can be used at GTS. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Lucier, and today I'll be presenting my adaptive project. The inspiration for this project came from when I was growing up with three big sisters who loved to play card games and make their little sister lose. I always had trouble holding the cards in a fan the way my big sisters did, which increased my stress level for playing games and discouraged me from playing them because I couldn't do it the way they did. I created this adaptive project for holding cards, in which it can be placed on a desk, on a table, or even on the ground so you can play cards with friends and family, or even peers in class. The great thing about this adaptive project is that it can be used for all ages, not just children, but it can be used for older adults as well, and it's easy storage. This was hand-stitched using material and cardboard. This is a great project for children who have fine motor challenges and are unable to hold the cards the way that other people do. It can help with organizational skills in which a child does not have to remember all the cards that they have because they can see everything easily. And when they're playing a card game, they can look at what they have and place the card that they want down. This adaptive project has the potential to increase social participation because it allows children to take part in an activity that they might have found frustrating before. This project does not have a home yet, but I think I'll be using it for myself when I play card games. So much easier. Thank you so much for observing my presentation today. I hope you all have a good night.
Hi there, my name is Emily. I am an OT student at the University of New England, and my adaptive project is a sensory break box toolkit. This was designed for students in a life skills classroom at Biddeford Primary School, which serves grades 1 through 3, and it's where I worked and interned for a year, so I created this project with those students' needs specifically in mind. So I wanted to create a toolbox that offered sensory-based activities for them to work for in the classroom, as an alternative to SNAC or iPad, which is what they primarily work for. And the toolkit involves multiple activities that are designed to target the different sensory systems, and we're going to go through those today. The first one is a sensory block. So each side of these blocks have different tactile sensations. It could be used as a fidget, and it provides visual stimuli. The next is sensory Play-Doh. So I have a couple different colors and scents here. So olfactory system, obviously, for scent would be stimulated. In addition, the tactile sensation of touching or playing with the Play-Doh. And if you use it with these blocks, you could stimulate the proprioceptive system because it really requires some pressure to push that in, and you get some cool stamps. So the next piece is a little bit of a work in progress. I have a bubble machine here, and I'm working on wiring in this switch to make it switch adaptive. So bubbles provide visual stimuli, visual tracking, and tactile sensations if you're popping bubbles. So one of the students in the classroom has pretty significant physical limitations and trouble engaging in social play activities with his peers. So making this switch adaptive would allow him to participate. Plus, who doesn't love bubbles, right? It's a fun activity for all of the kids. So this last piece I like to call the color factory. So this element challenges kids to engage in color sorting and matching and targets visual perceptual skills. So it encourages hand-eye coordination because you have to pick up a marble out of one of these bins that are color corresponded, follow it, visual tracking as it rolls through each of the ramps, and it offers bright color contrast for the children in the room who have visual impairments. So just to show you how that works, so you would take one of the marbles from the receptacle, you can put it here, here, or here, and roll it down, whoops, and into the receptacle. So, little trial and error, but that is my project, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Hi, our names are Emma Shabbat and Avery Albergini, and we're occupational therapy students at the University of New England. I did my fieldwork at Spring Harbor Hospital, and it came to my attention there that they needed a morning and evening visual schedule for the children so that they can work through their schedule a little bit easier and have a structure to their day. So we decided to create both a morning and evening routine based on occupations and activities that the children there are already engaging in. And we chose to use Velcro so that as the kids move through their routine, they can turn it over to the done side. We also added in the token component, which they already use at Spring Harbor, to incentivize the kids to do different activities. So with this, you can customize it to each kid. You can have more tokens or less tokens depending on their level of need. In addition to customizing the token system, we thought that it was important to customize to each child's schedule. So we included Velcro slots so that occupational therapists can print out the child's picture and they can move through the schedule in a board game format. We also included activity cards for both boys and girls. We really hope this helps each child at Spring Harbor so that they can work through their day, have a little bit more autonomy with moving themselves through the morning routine and evening routine, and it just helps with their overall functioning. Thank you guys so much for watching our presentation.
I'm Hailey. Thanks for joining us in our virtual expo. For my project, I made a spin board that is going to be going to Gallant Therapy Services in Northern Maine, which is an outpatient pediatric clinic. And this spin board will be used by OTs for the kiddos who need vestibular input, whether that's to help them get desensitized to the input or for kids who really seek out that spinning motion or vestibular input. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, my name is Marsha and I created the Follow Me shoot. This was inspired by a client I saw in my fieldwork level 1 placement. The client was diagnosed with cerebral palsy and he also had difficulty attending and having smooth saccades eye movements, and these were some goals that the therapist had for him. She wanted me to build a project that built upon his already currently developed skills of placing small toys within a bucket while sitting on a bolster swing with support from the therapist. So for that, I created this project where there's a small bucket and a clear tube attachment that allows for there to be a two-step anticipation while doing the task. First, the client has to place the toy in, then the client has to anticipate the outcome of where the small toy would go, and this puts an increased demand on the eye gazing. It also allows for change across the tube length, so there can be an additional component of crossing midline if needed from the therapist. And because it's a hands-free device with the stand, it allows for the therapist to sit behind the client and still administer NDT if needed and postural support. So I'll demonstrate how it's used. So taking the small toy, you would put in the bucket, and then, like I said, this tube will be clear once the part comes in, but with circumstances right now we're working with an aluminum tube, but it allows for the client to follow through from putting in all the way down the tube. So yeah, this eventually will end up at the Children's Specialized Hospital, Toms River, and I hope to see it used in future clients other than just this little guy that I designed it for. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jacqueline Burney, and my project is a visual schedule flipbook. I was inspired to make this project through talking to my family friends. They have a son in elementary school who's diagnosed with autism. The father highlighted a need for a visual schedule that they could use both at home and on the weekends when they're on the go, which led to my creation of a traveling visual schedule flipbook, edited for privacy purposes. So this is L's schedule. So the front of the book is the daily schedule ranging from 7 a.m. all the way until 10 p.m. Then there are tabs that have different activities for the day. So I have self-care needs, education, physical activities, social, cards taken out for privacy purposes, entertainment, and finally, chores. So the idea is they can flip to one tab and grab what they need for a certain time. So maybe wake up and get dressed would be the first thing put on the list. So at 7 a.m., L will wake up and get dressed. Another thing I added that was the dad's recommendation was to put editable cards. So then they can add whatever they need that might not be in the book. So at 8 a.m., they could be eating breakfast, but maybe they're going to a restaurant. So they can add the blank card and use the dry erase marker to put on that 8 a.m. They're gonna eat breakfast, but they're gonna go to IHOP. So then they can fill out the whole day with cards found in the book. Either they edit it or it's ones that are already there. And then also, the dad highlighted a need for a schedule that will go on the fridge. So I created a very simple schedule from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. that can go on the fridge, and cards that can stay in the kitchen, which are the same that are in the flip book and the same color coding scheme, but just in this book. And that is my visual schedule flip book.
Hi, my name's Casey Emilio, and for my project I made a fidget board. I was inspired by my level 1 fieldwork rotation at Weldon Outpatient Clinic in Springfield, Massachusetts. They had expressed a long-term desire for one of these boards for their population, which consists of mainly kiddos with autism spectrum disorder, sensory integration difficulties, and fine motor challenges. So you can make a fidget board any kind of way. This is sort of a combination between that and a sensory board, but this board is really specific for Weldon and their clients. So first off, we can see I have a lot of clothing items. I have a zipper right over here with a button, a hat clasp, some Velcro. I also have a shoe tying pole. So these items are great for children who have trouble with jackets, tying their shoes, really any sort of clothing fastener, and it definitely promotes ADL independence. I also added some household items that could be hard to manipulate if you add fine motor challenges, such as locks. I have a light switch, some doorknobs, some more clasps down here. And with all these items, I did try to incorporate some sort of visual support because that extra cue is really helpful for these kiddos. Down here I also added a little sensory element. I cut this out of a towel, and that just provides the kids with some extra stimulation. This board was really easy to make. This is a piece of plywood, and all of these items were found around my house. I didn't have to pay money for anything. I also attached it with a hot glue gun, the majority of the items. So very easy to make, and I'm really excited to bring it to Weldon and see if the kids like it.
Hello, my name is Megan LeBlanc, and for my project, I made a weighted fidget lap pillow. I was inspired by speaking with an occupational therapist at a school in New Hampshire. She has many clients who have challenges at school relating to their ADHD and autism diagnoses. A specific challenge she sees with the children is that they have difficulties staying in their seats during circle time. She also said that they always have the need to touch something. I wanted to make something that might help keep the children in their seats at circle as well as keep them engaged into what's going on. So this is what I came up with. I sewed this pillow together and stuffed it with this nice soft fabric, and then I put bean bags in it to weight it down. It's about 3 pounds, and so I hope that will kind of ground the children that are using it. And then on the top there are 4 different sections with different tactile related fidgets. So we have a zipper that they can open and close. We have this really nice soft looped yarn that they can play with and kind of tie together. Then there's sequins that they can run their hands over that change from gold to pink. And then there's shirt buttons that they can unbutton and rebutton. These things are also all Velcroed on, so they can be removed, and you can have as many on as you want at a time. This pillow is intended to sit on the child's lap while they're sitting in circle time. And I hope that it is as engaging for the children as it is for me.
My name is Julia Carpenter, and my project is a board game called Helping the Honeybees. And this is what it looks like. I was inspired to do this project on my field work at Gallant Therapy Services. It seemed like they had a few clients that were working on the zones of regulation, and they really like to use board games there. So I thought it would be really cool to make a board game that worked on the zones of regulation. So the way that you play this game is starting down here where it says start. You just follow the trail up until you reached the end. So if you land on one of the colored spaces, there's blue, red, yellow, and green. Those are all the different colors for the zones of regulation. So if you land on one of those spaces, then everyone that's playing comes up with their own list of things that would be helpful for them in that zone. So, for instance, if I roll the dice and I land on the yellow zone, everyone would come up with what helps them calm down in the yellow zone. So just in the interest of time, I've kind of already written out a list or two here. So the way that the point system works is if you come up with the same idea, everybody crosses the idea out. But if you come up with an idea that other people didn't come up with, then you get a point for that. So for this turn, I would have gotten 2 points. And you want to keep track of your points throughout the game, and when you reach the end, whoever has the most points wins. So my plan for this is to get it laminated once I'm able to kind of do that, and then hopefully donate it to Gallant Therapy Services so they can use it with some of their clients.
Hi, my name is Trisha Mabat, and my project is the self-care board. I was inspired by my level 1 pediatric fieldwork in McCrory Pediatric Services in Tarzana, California, where the children did a lot of self-care activities, such as hand washing, grooming, donning and doffing clothing. So I wanted to create different tasks that they can practice on to work on skills necessary for self-care. So first I did hair brushing. So the goal here is to use their hand strength and pull onto the brush, get it off. Work on hand positioning on the brush and start brushing. I also have a box of wipes where they can practice on pulling either wipes or tissue. Here is a DIY sink where they can practice hand washing and actually using their hand strength, turning onto the knobs. These are made out of cabinet knobs. It's labeled hot and cold. Here are steps for hand washing. Here I have different types of buttons for grading up and grading down, really working on their hand strength to manipulate the buttons. Here is a Velcro. A lot of the kids at my fieldwork had Velcro on their shoes, so here they can practice on pulling on the Velcro and tightening it for their shoes. So here I have two different types of shoelaces. One is more round and smoother. This is more flat and rough. So with grading up and grading down, the blue one is easier to manipulate and tie. But there's also steps. Here's step 1, step 2, and step 3. On the back of the board, there are hooks on each side so that the children can hook their jackets and practice donning and doffing their jackets. It was also supposed to have a zipper, but unfortunately it got canceled with the shipping. So here I have the structure of a mouth, and here the child can practice toothbrushing and flossing. So the goal here is to get the toothbrush damp, making sure they brush on all sides of the mouth, and also educating them about proper dental care. Thank you so much for watching my video.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm Olivia. For our adaptive project, Olivia and I constructed 2 tactile boards for the sensory room at Spurwink Chelsea Day Treatment. Sensory rooms provide a range of benefits for children experiencing sensory processing disorders, behavioral challenges, and autism. Tactile boards, also known as sensory boards, allow a client to explore a variety of textures, which can either calm or arouse the child's system through the sense of touch.
So because the boards are made for a general sensory room instead of for a specific person, we tried to make them as varied as possible to appeal to a broad range of children. So we made the boards to be different sizes, visually appealing, and tactily varied so that hopefully as many children as possible can benefit from the boards. So one of the boards that we assemble is a small lap tactile board made with various textures and colored materials. So on this board we have this sanding board, we have a feather boa, we have this little fluffy pom-pom, pipe cleaners, smooth stones, jump rope, clothespins, and a sequin star. This board is portable, sturdy, and lightweight, so the child can move around the room and use the board in whatever position it best benefits them.
And the second board we created is what I affectionately call the Out of This World tactile board. You can see it here on the wall behind us, and it represents the solar system. Each embroidery hoop or planet consists of a different type of textile. The background is kind of like a velvety texture. We have the sun is a hard plastic waffle texture. We have an asteroid belt, some shooting stars, and even Pluto at the end. So the larger board can easily be mounted like so, and it serves both as a visually stimulating and educational addition to the sensory room. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Germanos, and for my project, I wrote a social story inspired by the Gallant Therapy Services wish list for their clinic. I have created this project to help young children who may be experiencing challenges related to emotional regulation and relationship building understand the social expectations surrounding being a good friend. My project is intended to help all children, specifically those who may be living with developmental, intellectual, or behavioral challenges, engage in social participation, and play. My project describes typical interactions between friends playing at the park and is intended to assist in demonstrating appropriate social behaviors that are easy for children to understand and relate to. It is my hope that the story of Franklin and his two friends, Rosie and Oscar, will help children begin to understand the cause and effect relationship between their actions and the feelings those actions may elicit, to promote successful engagement in social participation and play.
Hi there, my name is Franklin. These are my friends, Rosie and Oscar. We have been friends for as long as I can remember. Today I am meeting Rosie and Oscar at the park. We love going to the park to play together. When I get to the park, I say hello and greet Rosie and Oscar with a smile. When I play with Rosie and Oscar, we are friendly by treating each other with compassion and respect. We support each other while we play.
Good job, Oscar!
It feels good to be there for Oscar when he is trying something new. I know that he would do the same for me because he is my friend. We encourage each other too. Go, Rosie, go! When I encourage Rosie, she feels supported. I feel good when my friends support me too. When we play, we take turns. When we take turns, it's more fun because everyone gets a chance to play. We like making new friends too. We do this by including others. Would you like to play with us? When I'm friendly to others, they will treat me with compassion and respect too. I love being a good friend.
Hi, my name is Christina Lindsay, and for my project I did a switch adapted toy. I got this idea when I was doing my fieldwork at the Morrison Center in Wells. I had the opportunity to go to the Scarborough location and check out their equipment. When I was there, I looked at all of their switch adapted toys, which are really great for kids having difficulty with fine motor skills. So toys that require those fine motor manipulations of turning on a knob or a small switch, it makes those toys accessible to them by making the surface area larger. So what I did was I took a basic tap light and I rewired it so that when you push it, it no longer turns on the light, but it goes through here. And here I have made a battery interrupter. And what you do is you stick it into where the battery would go in. And so then that, instead of turning on the lights, it will now turn on this toy. So it's really great to be able to have the battery interrupter because it makes it really adaptable to switch out for clients and kids that have different interests. So if you have one kid that really likes light up toys and another kid who likes wind up toys, you can just switch it out and use it for multiple clients. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus climate that we're all living in, I wasn't able to get a functional toy. And also this is more of a rudimentary design. I had a much nicer looking one, but I wasn't able to get to the materials that I wanted, but this does work. We were testing it earlier. Unfortunately, I got excited and I broke this, but it was working, and hopefully by the time this is all over, I will have access to another sort of toy, but this will be going to the Morrison Center in Wells.
Hi there, my name is Kate Pigeon. I came up with the idea for my adaptive project after spending a week at Buxton Center Elementary School for my level 1 fieldwork. So while I was there, I met a child who has autism spectrum disorder and absolutely loves to play with trains. So after brainstorming with his special education teacher, she and I thought that having a zones of regulation tool would really help him to begin to identify his emotions and learn different tools and strategies of how to manage those emotions. So I came up with a train-themed zones of regulation tool to really appeal to his love of trains and playing with trains. So I'll just go through it briefly here. I call it How Do You Feel Today? And the first page is really just an information sheet on the different zone colors and the different emotions associated with those zones. So it's helpful for him and helpful for anyone who wants to use it with him. There's a little note here that's in the curriculum, but I thought it was important to include here that remember it's okay to be in different zones at different times. It's expected and part of who we are. So I created a different set of train emotions for each color. So blue emotions are going to be those slow and low ones. And each of these cards has a Velcro sticky on the back. So he can use them on a later page that I'll show you. There's also a different sticky color associated with each page. So those are the blue emotions, and we have the green emotions, that like ideal state of alertness. And then we have the yellow emotions, kind of getting up there in amping up your emotions a little bit. And then we have the red emotions, those really out of control, intense feelings that might need to be mitigated. So the idea would be he would take one of these emotions, maybe the color associated with it, and use it on this next page. So today I feel like yelling, and I am in the red zone. So that would be how he would use that. And then the next page, he could take this again and say, when I feel like yelling, I can use a specific tool. And on the next 2 pages, I created cards with tools, different tools he could use. So among them are deep breathing, or counting to 10, or using your headphones. So he could take these cards and stick them on the previous page. So that's one set of tools. And then on the next page, I also have music or a book, snack, etc. So those are the different tools and the different train emotions. And I really hope it's helpful for him. Thanks for stopping by.
Hi everyone, my name is Hailey. I'm an occupational therapy student at the University of New England, and this is my multi-sensory treehouse. So I was inspired to make this treehouse because I remember growing up as a kid and being able to play out in the woods and play in my treehouse. So I wanted to bring that experience inside for children who don't necessarily have the freedom or the ability to go outside and enjoy the outdoors in that way. So I made it so that these decorations are removable. So if one day a child wants to pretend that they're in the rainforest or the Amazon, or if they're in the woods of Maine, they can have that imaginative element to it. I also have this rope ladder, which is removable, but it is a way for children to work on those motor skills and the strength and the bilateral coordination. And as you come a little bit closer, you can see that there's some other activities that are themed. So this piece of wood acts as like a little template for some wood-inspired Play-Doh, and it has a fun little smell to it as well. In the back, you can see that there's a diffuser, so if a child elects to have that as a part of their sensory experience, they can smell some evergreen essential oils. I have a piece of twine up in the back, which is attached to an acorn, so a child can work on those kind of fine motor skills and weaving it in between those pillars up there. I have lights all the way around the top, and I have lights underneath on the bottom. So if a child wants to be in a darker place and then they want to turn the lights on for that night effect, they can. I also added in a curtain So a child can kind of pretend that they're inside the tree and get that kind of enclosed, dark, contained feeling if that's something that they would like. And then here's my favorite feature. I made a little trap door. So if a child is playing up on top and another is on the bottom, they can have that intercommunication and maybe send a message in a basket down to the other. I also really wanted this treehouse to be accessible to all children, so I made it accessible for a wheelchair to come underneath and enter at any side. And whatever activities you can do up above can also be done down below. And I'm really excited and proud of my work, and I hope that you are just as thrilled as I am, and thank you to you guys for watching. Bye.
Hi, my name is Emily Perkins, and for my adaptive project, I decided to make a calm down kit. So when I was an undergrad, I had the opportunity to intern at a school for children with autism and other behavioral disorders. And oftentimes during stressful situations within the classroom setting, children would escalate to the point of having to be restrained and escorted out of the classroom. And they would be put into these empty rooms with no one else and nothing else until they were able to calm themselves down and safely return to the classroom. And oftentimes that would take an entire day. So that's an entire day of missing curriculum and other activities with their peers. So my goal for this is to be placed in every classroom, and they are able to come to the kit and pick an activity that works best for them during a stressful situation if they're escalating, to kind of calm themselves down while they're in the classroom so they don't have to be restrained or escorted out and miss anything. So a couple things I have in here. I have a list of 9 calm down ideas for kids to use, easy list, some yoga poses for them to do, and just this little hand of 5 steps to managing big emotions. I also have this little paddleboard thing that they can play with, some like moon sand for that texture, some putty. I have a little fidget spinner in here, and I also have a couple more like breathing and poses, little cards that they can look at. So my hopes for this is for it to be used in like any classroom with a variety of populations and disorders. And it can be graded up or down depending on who it's being used for. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Claire, and Sam and I made a zoo-themed sensory path targeting motor skills for our project. It can be used in school or at home and allows children to use gross motor skills to let out energy and have fun, all while working on targeted areas from OT. The pieces are interchangeable, and each activity can be made harder or easier by moving the pieces around, putting them closer or farther away, and adding in extra repetitions of each exercise. Each set of 5 exercises comes with a reference sheet, so I'll just go over a couple right now. The first exercise is the bear crawl, where the child walks on all fours to reunite the baby bear with the mama bear. The child must move forward with both limbs on each side of the body moving at the same time. So for example, the right arm moves with the right leg. This exercise provides proprioceptive input to the child and works on motor planning. The second activity is the elephant walk, where the child makes a trunk by placing one hand on top of the other and extending their arms, and they can raise and lower their trunk by moving their arms, all while walking from the baby elephant to the herd of elephants. The path can be tailored by number of trunk movements to perform or space that the child must move. The last exercise I'll go over is the horse gallop, where the child gallops like a horse from the pasture into the barn. To make this exercise easier, the child can walk, and to make it harder, the child can jump over hay bales. Jumping is a great way to get some proprioceptive input and work on balance. So each exercise can really be tailored to the needs of the child. And then the last 2 exercises in this set are the caterpillar crawl and starfish jumps.
Hi, my name is Sam, and just to follow off of what Claire was saying, All the pieces can be laminated as well before they're sent to any site. It's going to be used with children ages 4 to 10 and for some sort of motor break or any other fun, engaging activity related to OT interventions, or a teacher can use, as Claire discussed. So we don't have enough time to go over each part, but I did want to show off the instruction sheet that the OT can reference. So that just gives a little bit of guidance on how the sensory path can be put in that order, or you can take out some pieces. It's really up to the OT and what the child needs at that point. So one of the examples is a monkey scooter board. We have all of them labeled so the child can read it. And then we have bananas, so the bananas can be placed either left and right, or they can be placed sporadically and the child can run it over with the scooter board. I also wanted to show frog hops and the tiptoeing around the turtles. So with the frog hops, you're counting 1 to 10. The child can count out loud and frog hop from each lily pad. And with the turtles, the child can tiptoe around the turtles quietly in some sort of fashion.
Hi, my name is Joelle, and my adapted project is a calming sensory bin. I was inspired to do this because a few weeks ago, my niece broke her leg in an extremely traumatizing manner that has really affected both her and my nephew. They've been feeling a great deal of stress and anxiety since this has happened, so I really wanted to make something for them that was fun, engaging, while also super stress relieving for them to play with. So as you can see here, I have 2 sides to this bin. This side has not a lot of medium material in it, and that's because I wanted them to just use this to draw simple images with their fingers. I have provided this sheet that has some ideas of things they can play with, and I just found this was super relaxing. They love to draw and paint, so I thought this was a good idea for them. On this side, I have infused lavender essential oil into the beans, so they really get that calming, soothing, relaxing feeling when they're playing with them. In addition, there's these little animal stress balls that I put into it so they get that squeezing input from it. They can also play games with this, such as putting all the animals into the beans and trying to find them without the use of their vision and guessing which animal it is. So I thought that was a good tactile discrimination game they could play. In addition, this comes out, so if they kind of preferred one side over the other, they could just take it out and then move it all over. So it's whatever they kind of preferred, but I wanted to give them the option of having both things to do, and also so they don't fight over which one they want to play with. They have both sides. So yeah, I'm really excited to hand this off to them, and I hope that I can relieve some of that stress that they've been feeling. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Broussard, and while at the Spurwink Lickman Academy, I was inspired to create a weekly skills template that utilizes the zones of regulation and can be kept on the child's desk. So each week, the child can pull out each of these cards that have coping strategies for each of the different zones, and they can choose one, and once they choose the one that they would like, they can write it under the skill for each category. And then this can also be set up with a token economy, and when the child utilizes one of the skills, either them or the teacher can date and initial the boxes at the bottom, and then at the end of the week they can earn prizes and different rewards for utilizing the strategies that they chose.
Hi everybody, my name is Ashlyn Zabo, and the project that I worked on is the ABC Sensory Box. This is designed to help a child with any handwriting skills that they need, especially for those who may be struggling with spatial awareness or tactile sensitivity. I unfortunately did not have the chance to go on my fieldwork experience this semester because of the current pandemic going on, And I actually got this idea when a therapist reached out to our program and said that they needed various materials or ideas for their clinic. And I came up with this idea. So the whole purpose is you're going to open up the box, and inside there's going to be a certain material for the child, and that material can range from anything that they prefer. It could be soft things like feathers, harder things like beads or little tiles. You can use paper strips, honestly anything. And then what's going to happen is the therapist is either going to give the child a card or let the child pick a card, and that card's going to have either a letter or a number on it. And you can just place the card right up there, and then you're just going to have the child practice making that letter and number in the materials that they like. And they can use anything to make those. They can use their fingers, paintbrushes, actual pencils. It's whatever the child prefers to make it better for them. When I'm making this, it was all pretty simple materials I found around in the house or a local craft store. So this was pretty easy and pretty cheap to make, which is really nice. And then in the end, I still am waiting for school to open back up so I can print off the actual flashcards that I made with all the letters and numbers on it and laminate them. And then when I'm able to do that, I will be donating this to Spurwink in Portland for our children to be able to use in a safe and fun manner. And that's all I have, guys. Thank you. Stay safe.
Hello, my name is Emily Vians, and I'm a student at the University of New England. Today for you, I have a little box of visual motor integration activities. So visual motor integration is basically the coordination between your hands and your eyes. So our visual information will guide our hand movements. And I saw this in the classroom setting. It's really important to have especially in terms of handwriting and just in general to help the child be successful in the classroom and also out of. So let's get into it. First off, I have some Play-Doh activities. I made this Play-Doh myself. So I have these two little templates. One is of a cat. It says the cat lost its whiskers, help put them back on. So you'd roll out the dough into like little kind of like logs, and then you would place it on the little white spaces there. And then I also have one of a blueberry bush. Again, you would roll the dough into little circles this time and then put them on like the little white spots. Next, I have a little tracing activity. You have to try to get the bee's flight to the flower. So you would just trace this with a pen or I guess like a marker, a washable marker would be best since these are laminated. You can just reuse them again and again, which is really nice. Then next I have a watermelon puzzle. So they have, they're out of order down here. So you cut them out and then, so they're all jumbled down here and then you just paste them in the correct order up there. And since they are numbered, that's really helpful to help the child guide the puzzle. And so I also included scissors and glue or tape if you prefer. But that's just cutting activities are really good to help organize that information, the visual information to something that makes sense. And then I also have two flashlights. So this is for a flashlight tag. Essentially the therapist or whoever is leading the activity, you kind of just move the flashlight around on the wall, for example, you know, turn the lights down, you make it fun. And so you're basically, your eyes are tracking the movements and then your hands try to follow that movement. So again, that's practicing visual motor integration. And then lastly, I have some sidewalk chalk to practice some tracing, which is great, and also a ball for tossing back and forth, which is great for that hand-eye coordination, which is really important for VMI. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Mayato and my project is called the Sensory Break Backpack. I was inspired to make this project because during my time at North Smithfield Elementary School for my fieldwork, I noticed that a lot of the classrooms were lacking sensory tools that students could use throughout the day. I thought that making a backpack would be a really neat way to create a small sensory kit that could be easily stored in any classroom and could help students whenever they needed it. So this is my project. So on the front of the backpack, we have a bunch of different things for tactile exploration. So we have a fuzzy panel here that I made from an old sweatshirt. We have a ribbon here that's kind of rough and also really shiny. Some raised jewels here. And then also a dangling little fidget here made with these really smooth white rings. And then on this side of the backpack, I've included some coiled shoelaces that can be used as fidgets. And then on this we have a shoelace tying demo here. So students can practice tying their shoes, or it can also just be used to tie knots in the shoelace. So then on the inside of the backpack, I've created two different sensory bags, one small, one large. I made these using hair gel and coloring and some glitter. And then I also have included a small sensory toolkit inside the backpack. I don't have enough time to go through everything in it, but I can show you a couple things. So I have some DIY fidget sticks here, a little sensory stress ball guy here, some scented erasers, and then also this really cute little frog. He's really squishy and it's pretty fun to play with. And then finally, on the back of my backpack, I've added some 2-pound ankle weights, and these can be used to add a little bit of proprioceptive input for students. They can use it during transitions to their specials like gym and art, or even to lunch. So as of right now, I'm still in the works on where the backpack's gonna go. I hope to give it back to North Smithfield Elementary School because I had an amazing time at my fieldwork, but still working on it. And so that's my sensory break backpack. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Jordan Sanders, and my project is an interactive book called 1, 2, 3 Dress Me. I was inspired by two individuals who have a difficult time dressing themselves. However, these individuals have different underlying conditions. One individual has difficulty with fine motor tasks, while the other individual presents with tactile defensiveness. I wanted to engage these children in an interactive book in which they can practice dressing tasks. For the individual who has fine motor task difficulties, I use different clothing objects to work on, such as zipping, buttoning, and clipping. For the individual with tactile defensiveness, I use different clothing and textures for them to engage in sensory exploration. The pages are made of felt as well as some of the stickers. I use a hot glue gun to place the clothing items on the page, and I bought the clothing from the Salvation Army and used scissors to reconstruct the fabric. As I mentioned before, I use different clothing such as denim jeans and overalls, a cotton sweater, a plaid shirt, and a fuzzy jacket to cover a range of textures. And each clothing item works on different fine motor tasks such as zipping, buttoning, and clipping. This is a quick sample of an interactive book that is safe in regards to sensory exploration. It also allows for repetition, rehearsal, and mastery. My hope is that 1, 2, 3 Dress Me can help individuals transfer their learning from the book to being able to physically and independently dress themselves. This book was fairly easy to make as I used a hot glue gun, scissors, stickers, and fabric. To make it better, you can sew the items into the book instead of using a hot glue gun. Feel free to make your own personalized book that fits to you or your child's needs. Thank you for coming to our expo, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it.
Hey everyone, I'm Jamie Tish.
And I'm Matthew Tusa. I work for a young man with cerebral palsy who has limited functional mobility, and this piece of adaptive equipment will allow him to spend time on his stomach. It'll also allow him to work on therapy goals, as well as provide alternative positioning for various everyday activities.
Hi, my name is Caroline, and today we are going to learn how to make your very own mystery box. So what is a mystery box, you may be asking yourself? Well, a mystery box is a fun activity where you and your partner get to guess what different items are simply by touch. First, you're going to want to select a box. Then have a responsible adult help you cut 2 holes. Go ahead and decorate it however you like. I chose a space theme. You can turn this activity into a game simply by counting up how many objects you guess correctly versus how many objects your partner guesses correctly. First, we're going to start by gathering our objects. Here we have a variety with a cold ice pack, a warm wet rag, a little wooden puzzle, flashlight, an onion, and a giant feather. Let's see what object is first. Alright, it's metal, that's for sure. It's kind of cold. There's a button. It's long. Is it a flashlight? This one's interesting. It's round like a ball, but it sounds kind of crunchy. It's hard. Is it an onion? Well, it is wet. It's also warm. Feels kind of like a towel. Is it a wet rag? Now this is the opposite. This is really cold, pretty squishy. Is it an ice pack? I think I know what this is. A part that's hard and a part that's soft. Is it a really big feather? Okay. Has a lot of pieces to it. You know what? This is one that I just can't figure out. I have no idea what it is. Can you tell me? Oh, a little wooden puzzle. I never would have guessed. Okay, now it's your turn. Thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. and most importantly, stay safe and have fun.